So this video came about after I was discussing with some traders I'm doing an experiment with about YouTube videos that are free. Now, you see many claims. There's a lot of strategies out there with great claims, massive claims, some of them the best ever or whatever it might be. There's a lot of claims. As examples, are they just showing the best examples? I've looked through a few that have been passed on to me, and some of the cherry picking is unbelievable. Of course you want to show something that works, but you've also got to make people aware that things don't always work. Old ideas, many are very, very old, sort of 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. Do they still work? Now, they've got a lot of hits, etc., and there were a lot of great things said about them, but do they actually still work? And did they work at the time? Were they tested? Very few traders would test a strategy before they use them, so they just go out there looking for strategies. They're constantly at the point where one thing doesn't really work for them, so they'll go and pick something else, and then they'll pick something else. And at the end of the day, it's quite often the markets and not necessarily always the strategy. So the strategy could be good, but has it been tested? Have you actually tested it? What I would recommend is you just test them for 6 months beforehand, as long as there's a big enough sample. But you've got to test these things. Are the rules complete, including exit rules? I've seen some of them, and their exit rules are particularly rubbish. Some of them were no better than moving average crossovers, which if you ever do any tests on that, you'll find out over the long term they look great in the short term. I could show you some fantastic examples, but over the long term they just don't work out. They go through chop. You can't tell they're into a choppy zone until you get into the choppy zone, and then you realize you're in chop. So by the time you've realized that the market is no longer trending, it's often too late. So are the rules complete? Very important point there. What assets? What can you trade them on? A lot of people would trade them across all forex pairs, for example. Well, for any strategy, trying to be trading that strategy against all forex pairs, in the majority of the times, it won't work. There's very few strategies that will probably work on every type of cross pair. If you're trading the majors, maybe things are more likely to be a bit more similar. But even then, I find with strategies, some strategies work much better on particular pairs, and actually some of the cross pairs are better than the majors. But again, it comes back to testing. The trader, finally, even if they are good, and I'm sure some of them have got little nuggets in there, if they're not tested, will the trader have the confidence? What generally happens with any strategy, with particularly new traders, is they will start just trading it. They'll believe that it's going to be wonderful. They might be fortunate enough to get a couple of winners to start with, 2 or 3 winners, and they think, well, this is brilliant. And then, of course, they go through drawdown, so they start getting losers, and it will run into drawdown. Now, if you've actually tested anything, you'll realize that markets and strategies will go through periods when they're positive, when they're negative. And you just got to get into the zone as whether this particular strategy you're using is being just so curve fitted for a very small period and it's just hit that little gold seam, or whether it actually works over the long term. But again, everything here comes back to traders' confidence. How can it be built? By testing. So, we've seen the claims, we've seen examples, dodgy examples, sometimes okay examples. How many examples have you seen of strategies where they just show you an example where, well, this one didn't work? Perhaps you should watch a few of my videos. Unfortunately, my strategies don't work all the time. A lot of them old ideas. It doesn't matter if they're old ideas, so long as they still work on the current market. Testing, as I said, testing's important. The rules, it's got to be so specific. Again, if you're testing something, you've got to have all the rules to test it, and if you haven't, you can't trade it. And as I said, assets. So a whole bundle of things there. Why they don't work is possibly self-inflicted. Some of them may work particularly well, so a lot of them probably won't in reality, because you're trying to trade them sometimes on the wrong markets, etc. So I hope you found this useful. If you do, just give me a thumbs up. Also, if you want more videos like this or similar, do subscribe to my channel. Thanks for now.